Hello, this is Required Fields, and anyways, in this video, I am going to be discussing some more of the music that I've been spinning as of late. So another installment of What's Been Spinning series. This is the main star of this video. This is a new album from Deferus, Unrelenting Malevolence. Love this album, and this band, actually. Deferus is a band I've discussed in this channel in the past. I love their 2019 debut, which was called Hack to Death, and this is their second full-length release. They put out a split with the band Stench of Death in between, with a few songs from Deferus, a few songs from Stench of Death. It was released a cassette only. Well, I owned a cassette version of it, and digital. As far as I know, there was no CD pressing of it. But anyways, this is the second full-length Deferus album, Unrelenting Malevolence. Awesome release. It's almost like take the band Demolition Hammer, but have it be a little more death metal-y. Although there's still a lot of thrash in this. It's kind of like, imagine if Demolition Hammer actually went into more of a death metal direction after Epidemic of Violence. Well, Time Bomb is in name only. Demolition Hammer album wasn't intended to be released as such, but let's say they had hypothetically continued, gone into slightly more death metal direction. Then this is the type of album that they might have made. In fact, there was even a cover of the song Skull Fracture Nightmare from the second Demolition Hammer album, Epidemic of Violence. And anyways, Deferus, Unrelenting Malevolence. If you like the more extreme side of thrash metal, and you like old school inspired death metal, get this release. It's awesome. That's Deferus of Unrelenting Malevolence. Next up is Candlemass, and this is their album Ancient Dreams. This is their third full-length release. If I recall correctly, it was their most successful release as well in terms of sales. I could be wrong on that, but anyways, this album was released in 1988 after the debut Epicus Doomicus Metallicus, my favorite doom metal album of all time, and 1987's Nightfall. This is their third release, Ancient Dreams, and Candlemass is my favorite doom metal band, and this is another great album that they put out, and Ancient Dreams, anyways, that's another one of the albums I've been spinning as of late. Great album from Candlemass. Next up is a band called No Return, and this is their compilation, Psychological Contamination, which really consists of the first two full-length albums from them, which are titled Psychological Torment and Contamination Rises, both of which are very enjoyable, extreme thrash metal sounding albums. Now, this is a band that is still active today. They even put out a new album recently, which I recently ordered, called Requiem. I haven't heard it, but I did actually get to listen to. But I didn't get to listen to it yet, but I did actually order it recently. And Deferus is sorry, not Deferus, but No Return is a thrash metal band of some death metal elements from France, and Psychological Torment is a bit thrashier, and Contamination Rise would still be in the thrash mold mostly, but has some more death metal influence on it at times, and I think I prefer Psychological Torment to the two, but Contamination Rises is also good. The title, Psychological Contamination, combines the first word of each of the first two full-length releases, and it's a little more affordable to get the release of the two of them together rather than it is to get the album separate, because they go for over $100 on eBay separately, and they go for a little. This one, this compilation was released in the 2010s, so it's not as expensive as secondhand copies of the first two albums alone. And next up we have Riot City. This is a new wave of traditional heavy metal band from Alberta, and this is their second full-length release. Their first album was Burn a Night in 2019, one of that year's best albums, and it looks like this album is going to make my top 10 of 2022 as well. There are some lineup changes since the debut. And there are some slight differences in terms of sound between this and the first album, but this is another winner of an album. My favorite track would be the closing track, Severed Ties, which is a near 10-minute long track, and anyways, This is Riot City Electric Elite, another album worth getting. And I'm going to close this off with an album on cassette here. This is a band called Gladiator, and this is their album Made of Pain, which came out in 1993. Gladiator was a thrash metal band from Slovakia. Is a band from Slovakia. They were a thrash metal band. They were called the Slovakian Sepultura for their first couple of albums. And you can definitely hear that where that comparison comes to play with Made of Pain, as well as the debut designation. But and I'm going to be discussing this band a little bit more in a future video, because after this album, they completely alienated their original fan base with the direction that they took. And I'll be discussing that a little bit more lengthily in a video some point later this week, actually. And anyways, those are some of the albums I've been spinning lately. I hope you enjoyed this video. This is Required Field signing off, and goodbye.